What's going on, everyone? So we are like about a month away from training camp, and the San Antonio Spurs, or many of the Spurs players, are already in the lab going to work. Chris Paul was working out in the facility, and again, I'm really excited to see what Chris Paul is going to be able to do with this team, the impact that he's going to be able to have on this team, particularly Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, I think he's going to make life so easy for Victor. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Victor is a close to 30 point a game scorer, if not 30 points a game, just because of how easy, again, Chris Paul is going to make things. He's going to get Victor this ball in all of his spots. When Victor is trying to shoot and step out, Chris Paul is going to deliver it to him right in his shooting pocket. The amount of assists and lobs, Chris Paul, I wouldn't be shocked if Chris Paul leads the league in assists next year, just because of what he's going to be able to do with Victor and just the threat that Victor is basically anywhere on the basketball court. And so Chris Paul being in the lab with the fellow Spurs players, really starting to work and build that chemistry, because there were several guys that he was working with. No sign of Victor yet, at least in the photos. Don't know if he was there or not, but he'll show up. He's going to get there. Obviously, I'm sure the Spurs are telling him to get some rest, take a couple weeks off, because you don't want to overwork him, overexert him. He ends up getting an injury or something like that, because he did just win silver in the Olympics, going up against Team USA. So last thing you want to do is just put too much mileage and have the young kid working so hard. He got his workouts, right? He got his he's already in mid-season form. He's already got his reps. He's gotten the things that you'll want going into the season. So everyone else is just kind of playing catch-up. But Chris Paul, seeing him out there, again, I'm really excited for just the impact that he's going to have on this team as a whole, the development that he's going to be able to provide for, Stephon Castle and even Trey Jones and even guys like Devin Vassell and, Keldon Johnson. I know there was a little hiccup already between Chris Paul and Keldon Johnson over the number issue. And supposedly, Greg Popovich kind of pulled Keldon Johnson aside and said, hey, it's the right thing to do. So Keldon Johnson is expected to be wearing number 0, and Chris Paul is going to stay the CP3. So we'll see. Hopefully there's no kind of turmoil or any animosity or anything like that going into the season. I don't think so. I think it's, kind of a petty, silly thing. It's done. It's over with. Time to move on and prep and get ready for the season. But again, you're seeing multiple Spurs players start to work out, starting to train, working in the facilities, working with each other, working with the coaching staff, working with the trainers. And, there's not expectations in the sense of like winning a championship or, necessarily a deep playoff run or anything like that. But there is expectations in the sense of like beginning to see strides, right? This is still a very young team. There's still a team that, like even if they don't make the playoffs, right? Like even if they don't make the play-in, right? Like, they won 22 games last year, right? You want to see the growth. You want to see them can they get to 40, or 45 games, something like that. Right, to where it's like, okay, maybe they're just missed it. Maybe they're like the 11th seed. They were a game out or something like that. But hey, you doubled your win total from last season, right? Those are the kind of things you want to see. You really want to start seeing the significant strides that this team can potentially have. And so, to me, I think that this is something where, again, they're going to have to win minimum 46 games probably, right? The Warriors and the Kings were the 9th and 10th seed, and both of them had 46 games. Both of them had 46 wins, sorry. So, that's kind of the target goal, especially in this Western Conference. But again, you got the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, and the Mavericks. Those are probably going to be the top 4 teams. Then you have, yes, the Clippers. They did lose Paul George, but I do think that they kind of rounded out the roster nicely. I don't think that they're better personally. Also, Kawhi Leonard, I mean, he missed Team USA because of his knees. I don't think that problem's just going to go away magically. But Clippers are still probably going to be a playoff team, at worst a play-in team. Got the Phoenix Suns, you got the Lakers, Pelicans made some strides, Kings made some strides. The Warriors, I think, are better than they were last year. And then the Grizzlies, right? So you're talking, a hard 10, 11 teams, that are going to be fighting and vying for, at least getting in that top 10. And then the Spurs, I think, kind of fall in that like Houston Rocket range, right? I think they'll kind of be somewhere in that range. But again, you want to see some real strides, right? Like Houston finished last season 41-41. If San Antonio could kind of get in that range, I think that's perfect. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if they made the play-in. I wouldn't be shocked if they even kind of stumbled into the first round of the playoffs, right? But the expectation, again, I don't believe is there as far as them being this, they're in the conference finals, something like that. Now, look, if Victor can really kind of move into that top, because I think last year, there was a genuine argument that he was a top 15 player in the league last year, right? If you want to say top 20 or something, sure. But I think there is a argument you can make. He was the best defensive player in the league and gave you, 22 points, right? So he's a guy that if he can take strides this year and be in that conversation for the top 10, now I think the Spurs are in a position to where, okay, maybe they can make a playoff run, right? Maybe they can do something if he kind of just, puts the team on his back. You got Chris Paul, who has some experience, Harrison Barnes, who has some experience. But again, this team is very young. And even the images and stuff that the Spurs posted on their young guys, it's all their young guys, right? Like, you got like Harrison Ingram, who you're growing and developing and hoping can be, your Harrison Barnes replacement, right? See what they do with Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson kind of seems like he's sooner or later inevitably going to be on his way out, right? Keldon Johnson seems like a guy that it's just kind of a matter of when, not if, right? I just don't see him being on the team long term. But, Stephon Castle, right? Like, what is he going to give you year one? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if, I've said this when the Spurs drafted him, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the best player in this draft or ultimately becomes the best player in this draft. I wouldn't even be surprised if he won, Rookie of the Year or something like that this season. I don't think he will. Because I'm curious to see how many minutes the young guys get. Obviously, Harrison Ingram, he's on a two-way, but, you want to get him some minutes. You want to see, like, what can he do on the basketball court, right? Again, this is a team that's not, they don't have championship aspirations this season, right? That's not what the deal is. This is a development season. This is why you got Chris Paul. This is why you went and got Harrison Barnes. You got these guys to help develop the Harrison Ingrams and the Keldon Johnsons and the Devin Vassell and Stephon Castle and all these young guys. That's what it's about. That's why you went and got the players and the pieces that you did, so that way you can, kind of try to expedite this a little, right? But again, the expectations aren't, like, there's realistic expectations, right? Like, would it be cool to see them overachieve? Sure, of course, right? But I think if they're going to overachieve, it's just going to be, I think, one, a lot of it's going to come down to Chris Paul's health, right? Two, can Devin Vassell kind of take that next step? Can Devin Vassell kind of move into that, like, maybe 22 to 25 range? Harrison Barnes, what can he give you on a regular basis, right? He's a legit 3-and-D guy, but how many shot attempts is he going to get? How much of a focal point is he going to be? Again, Stephon Castle, how many minutes is he going to play, right? Especially early on, Pop. I mean, he did the same thing with Victor last year, right? He usually likes to give them time to kind of adjust to the speed of the game, adjust to kind of, the pace and the physicality and all those things. So I don't have these, like, huge expectations that, like, Stephon Castle is going to be, this huge factor and this huge piece next season. I'm not saying he's not going to be anything, that he's just going to kind of be there. But no, I don't, like, will he be a 15-point-a-game guy? No, probably not. No, I'm not going to put limitations on him. If he can come out there and just kind of have that all-around game, I'm kind of looking at Stephon Castle as like kind of the Swiss Army knife type guy, where he's doing a little bit of everything, right? Hustling, playing defense, getting steals, making plays, hitting shots, kind of like, what he was in college and stuff. And you even saw a little bit in summer league, right? Kind of the do everything, whatever you need, I can get it done type guy this season. The dirty work, hustle guy. I think that's where he's really going to fit in this season. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Are you excited for the Spurs season? Do you think that the Spurs make some noise, that they actually have an impact this season? They actually do a couple things. Do you kind of have calmed expectations? Are you one of the people that think, I talk about Spurs a lot. It's kind of evolved into that. But nonetheless, I get people that are regularly like, no, the Spurs are going to be a playoff team. Like they're going to go on a run. I don't even think the Spurs really necessarily have those expectations. Obviously, you want to win. I'm not saying the Spurs, if they, if they're just going to go to the playoffs and lay down or anything like that. No, they're going to be trying to win. But do they have the overall talent and experience to get it done? All right, Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, I do think will go a long way. I do think that those two guys will really help. But I don't think that they're them at their age, particularly Chris Paul. If this was like prime Chris Paul, we might be having a different conversation. But, at 40 or 39 or whatever he is, like, it's just a different world. But I do really like seeing just the Spurs in the lab, doing the work, getting it done. And I'm excited for this upcoming season for them. But, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.